I'm going to take apart this Leatherman Style, see how it goes together, and my goal is to put a couple of keys in there. And if that works out, the idea is that you can carry just this one little thing around on your key ring instead of a couple of noisy keys. And we'll see if it works. So if everything works out, we got to assume that that blade will fit into the tool because it just came out of there, right? So if the key fits inside of the blade, then it should work. And it looks like we got plenty of room for the key to exist, you know, in the same amount of space that that blade took up. In fact, it'll actually be a bit shorter. And if we do it right here, which is where I think I'll do it, I leave myself this back part of the key. I want that to be included so that, in other words, the key doesn't go in too far into the lock. And again, I have plenty of room to include that in the length of the key, and I have plenty of room this way for the teeth to fit in there without any kind of modification at all. So this should work out as a pretty easy mod. All I really need to do is now mark this. So I'll just take a Sharpie. Probably should have grabbed an actual sharp one. And I will mark on the key. I'll just make sure that the key is inside the blade, and it is. So now I'll just mark on the key where this blade will go. And I'm going to just follow along the top there. And I'll touch this up a bit off camera just because it's a little awkward. And then you can see we'll have approximately a hole there somewhere. And then that'll go in there as if it was the blade. And I'll just cut this with a Dremel or a grinder. I'll see whatever's easier. Now as far as thickness goes, the blade looks like it's just a hair thinner than the key is. But looking at the tool here, I don't think it's going to matter too much. That blade is just about there. But with that bushing and everything, I think I can probably just leave it unthreaded a few threads and it should still work okay with this, you know, standard key thickness. So there you go. That's probably pretty hot right now. Got it ground down to where you can see it's getting a lot closer to the shape of that blade. And now I want to make sure that I get that notch perfect and then the hole in the right spot. So I'm going to go grab a cup of water or something and get this cooled down so I can touch it. I just set it down on an ice cube here. Works pretty good. Cooling it off really fast. Keys are really easy to work. They're just sort of junk metal, really. So you can see where it used to be a key and then a couple of grinder marks later. I think I've got it pretty darn close. I think from looking at it, the biggest issue is getting this notch back here so there's a place for the spring to interact with. and I'm not real sure about how tight it has to be in some of these other tolerances. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep winging it and drill that hole and see what happens. Well, I kind of thought finding the right size drill would take a while, but it looks like I was lucked out. Let's see if I can see the number on this one. I can't really see the size on it anymore. It's all junked up, but I'm guessing it's about a 1/16 by just kind of gauging it off the drill box. So it looks like we're going to have to trim the bottom here quite a bit, and then up around here so that it has a way to pivot like this. So now we're going to have to orient off that hole and then grind away some of this bottom. So I'm really glad I left some of that top. I was debating making that flush, but it looks like I'm going to need to remove some of this bottom now. So I'll just put it back here. This time I'll orient it with the hole, and I'll use that Sharpie to tell us how much we need to get rid of down here. So I've got a trigonometry issue there. I need to get this a little bit more horizontal so that the key will come down all the way, I think. But let's see how we do on the opener. Ooh, we failed there for a minute. Let's see. Open. Boom. So it looks like we're all good, but we need to move that lock forward a little bit now so that it opens up into the full, full open position. So we'll just move that notch forward just a hair. Of course, I want to nibble away at it here. If I go too fast, the lock won't work at all. I think we might have it there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the bushing back on. That's easy enough. Kind of hold it in place there. And then I'll grab this little screw. Okay, I'm screwing it back in there. I can feel the tension on the other side here. Alright, so proof of theory works for sure. Let's go grab the lock for this and see what happens. So, I think if I would have paid a bit more attention to detail, obviously it would have come out looking a lot nicer. And now that I've gotten the knack of it, I know it's definitely doable. I'll do it with a key that I actually am going to use. But you can see that it probably would have been just a hair better if I could have left some of this bottom catch on there. This top catch just isn't doing it. The way that this keyway is, it's able to slip a little bit into there. So as long as I hold it just out of the, bottoming out, no problem, works great as a key. And now the concept is, have this on your key ring. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Right now there's a pair of scissors and a file, and it looks like if I take the scissors out of there, I'll have just a little bit extra room, and I can leave the file in, perhaps put the blade back in where the file was, so now I can have blade and two keys on something that the key can lock out, locks back into place, and then the same thing on the other side, have another key. And then the other thing I was thinking is trying to put a little stud on there so that I can open it, the little thumb stud. Pretty neat idea. Obviously I didn't come up with this idea, lots of guys do this. I just decided to finally give it a try, and I think it worked out pretty good. So hopefully it sparks some ideas out there. If you come up with something, you have the perfect little keychain tool to do this with, let us know. But I think I'm going to like this. If I can keep 2 keys on here, that's both of my house keys. This actually stays out pretty nice, stays in really well. It's got a groove in the key, so it's automatically got a fingernail groove for you. And then stays locked really nice. Easy enough to insert, turn. Thanks for watching.